In Colombia, assassinations and disappearances are common. People vanish without a trace, and their bodies can end up in mass graves in the jungles where they lie hidden from investigation. Many of those whose loved ones were murdered or disappeared flee their homes in terror, and some of them end up in slums, like these ones in Bogota. This is Soacha, a slum in one of Bogota's hillsides. It is a suffocating dust bowl, with local mining leaving layers of dust in the air. 700,000 people live in these slums, and many of them are here because they had to flee their own villages. I had to leave my village, she says, to try to prevent the paramilitaries from killing my children and myself after they murdered my husband. In 1988, Martha Gomez's husband was murdered by an army death squad masquerading as a paramilitary group. At the time, he worked on a local banana plantation, and the workers there were striking for better pay and conditions. When Martha's husband was ordered to break the strike, he refused, and the paramilitaries beat him to a pulp. 9 years later, Martha's parents and sister were also murdered by paramilitaries in the same town. On the day my parents and sister were killed, she says, they were travelling to their farm on public transport. It was 6 in the morning. On their way to the farm, she says, a group of paramilitaries stopped the bus and made everyone get down on the side of the road. My family were then separated and taken away. Martha believes a neighbour lied to the paramilitaries and told them her family were members of the FARC rebel forces. And a year later, the paramilitaries also murdered her brother.
After Martha's brother was killed, she decided to move completely to a totally different area of the country, where she had an aunt living there, because she was afraid of what might happen to her children.
Soacha is full of stories of grief. These 2 young boys share a 2-room shack with their mother, Lina Maria Pinteleon. She came here after her husband was shot dead by FARC guerrillas in 2007. Now she's trying to survive in this tiny shack, which she tries to keep as neat as possible. She told me it's freezing cold there in the winter, and the rats come in at night and run around the place as they scavenge for food. In the midst of Soacha's dark poverty, there are stories of inspiration. Here in the back room of this shack, a woman sews motorbike jackets. The business was set up by an enterprising Colombian man who moved to the slums after fleeing his village because of the armed conflict. He's hoping his business will give his 4 daughters the chance of a better life outside of the slums.